Montana Knife Company is the perfect example of how you lose an open book exam. We told you what the tariffs were gonna do. We told you, and you were like, nah, I want them. Tariffs for America. How do you be that fucking dumb?
On April 30th, Josh Smith of Montana Knife Company told everyone this.
This is the shape of the number that's going to be on our website next to our knives of how much tariff affects the prices of our knives. Because we've been preaching this all along. We're American made by American. You don't have to worry about this shit.
And well, last week, Josh realized his costs are going up. Why? Because he imports his equipment and his steel. And so do his suppliers. So those tariffs, they're very much his problem now.
You that say buy American made equipment, the tariffs won't affect you. This is American made heat treating furnaces. July 17th, 2024, base price $519. July 23rd, 2025, base price $612. Is the cost of equipment to manufacture in America going up that drastically in 1 year? I'm not hating on the Trump administration. Again, I'm trying to point out that their policies need some adjustments. We should be focusing on finished goods coming in from overseas. We shouldn't be making the cost to buy equipment made in America for American manufacturers go up by this amount of money. $100,000 on the base price in 1 year.
This is actually a really common misconception. A lot of made in America products still rely on imported parts, tools, and materials. Tariffs don't magically disappear just because you slap a flag on the box. And it turns out, buy American doesn't mean immune to global economics. It means you're still part of the supply chain you just voted to tax. How many America First businesses are gonna learn that the hard way?
Josh Smith came on this app a few months ago and touted how great America First was going to be for his American-owned business, Montana Knife Company. And he said, you know, you may see other companies like Amazon putting the tariffs on their invoices, but he held up an egg and he said, this is what you're going to see on my invoice for a tariff. 0, because we are America First and we are made in America. Now he is on the FO part of the FA. He fucked around and now he is finding out because he got a bill, an invoice for his equipment for Montana Knife Company that showed from last July 2024 to this July an increase of $100,000 in equipment for his knife company. And do you think Josh Smith, whether he puts a 0 or not on his bill as a tariff, is going to eat that $100,000 for the Montana Knife Company? Highly doubt it, and it's a no. He is going to pass that along to his customers, and they are going to see an American-made product increase in price. And what do you think Josh Smith is going to do with that $100,000 increase to his business? He may put a 0 on the invoice to his customers for tariff, but the price is going to go up because Josh Smith cannot eat a $100,000 increase in equipment. I guarantee they cannot eat that cost of the tariff, and they will pass along because he is finding out what so many of us have said on repeat. America made, America owned does not mean American sourced. You have to get your materials, your machines, anything like that sourced from overseas if you are going to produce the vast majority of products in this country. So you fucked around and now you're finding out, Josh Smith, owner of Montana Knife Company. I can't wait to see that big egg 0 on your customer's invoice.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for choosing us today. All right, you know, Montana is the land of wide open skies, fiercely known for independence lovers and, you know, hard craftsmanship. Now, this is where a company by the name Montana Knife Company was born. You know, a small American business with big dreams. But today, its future hangs in the balance. Why? Because Josh Smith, the founder of Montana Knife Company, once stood by the promise that buying American meant you wouldn't have to, you know, worry about tariffs. This was a bold claim, one rooted in faith that embracing homegrown manufacturing would actually shield him from volatile trade policies. But that was back in April, before everything changed. Then tariffs on on, steel and grinding machinery spiked, some hitting as high as 50% depending on the piece of equipment. Josh found himself facing crashing costs, tens of thousands of dollars for critical machinery that's only produced overseas. Now, suddenly he's finding out that the very tools that keep his business alive are actually putting it at risk. Why? Because he chose to vote against his best interest. Well, this man voted for the orange man. He voted red. He never considered to actually do any research about how tariffs works. Now he's getting the schooling of his life, because in a moment few expected, Josh has to reckon with the reality of what his vote for the orange man actually meant for his business, not just in ideology but in dollars and survival. Well, a lot of Americans are reacting to this and telling him, we told you so. You effed around, you find out. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about today's episode. I'm your presenter Joel Mogisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing, hit that like button. Let's get into it.
Nothing is as funnier than seeing white people go into the voting booth and vote for a racist motherfucker so they can get money and try to oppress the very people they don't like. Run over there to the man with the dead hand for a photo op, post it on their Instagram page, praise that orange bastard, and then reality set in on their ass, and then they start losing money. Take, for instance, Josh Smith here. He owned the Montana Knife Company or whatever, and so he went over there and met with this orange bitch or whatever and praised him and all. And Josh was telling people, we need to keep it made in America. This is America and all that shit. You understand what I'm saying? Now, fast forward, Josh is stressed the fuck out because the shipping alone is kicking his ass. The tariffs is whooping his ass left and right. And well, Josh is saying in this video I'm gonna post of how he's stressed out about how much money he got to make and how Amazon adding on costs.
Amazon is going to put a number next to the price of a product on their website to designate how much the tariff is of whatever you're buying on their website. At Montana Knife Company, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a number next to the price as well. This is the shape of the number that's going to be on our website next to our knives of how much tariff affects the prices of our knives, because we've been preaching this all along. We're American made, buy American. You don't have to worry about this shit. American made heat treating furnaces. July 17th, 2024, base price $519. July 23rd, 2025, base price $612.
I get about 10 to 20 invitations to speak at supply chain and logistics conferences on a weekly basis. And since February, we've been trying to explain to these people how tariffs affect us. We have MBAs in this field. We work in this industry. We know what tariffs are. What makes you think we would lie to you when we told you you'd be paying for it? And this is one of those cases where tariffs are the least of his problems. His real problem is he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. And they love throwing around the term American made. He doesn't even know what that means. I went to his supplier's website and it only took me 30 seconds to find out that all of the products that they have listed are made in some of these countries or a mix of some of these countries. And there's only one product on their entire pipeline that is made in the USA. And that product was not on that guy's purchase order, which means that he didn't even purchase anything that was made in the US, but he was complaining about paying tariffs while he's buying things that were made in either China or India. And this is my free supply chain lesson. This is why it's important to build relationships with your suppliers. Unfortunately, boomers don't believe in that. They're just raw dogging it. Whether I'm purchasing $5 or $5 million worth of supplies, I will not place an order without knowing my supplier. That's also the important lesson on hiring core competency when you don't have any. Because a supply chain professional would never order from that supplier without visiting their facility, knowing where they're getting their components, their raw materials, knowing how they work, knowing where they're located, knowing where they're manufacturing or pulling things from. That man's order was over $500,000 and he has no idea where that's coming from, where any of it is made. He's just there complaining about it.
What blows me the most about the Montana Knife CEO is a lack of understanding of where his own equipment comes from. Even though a lot of these companies promote themselves as American made, that does not mean that they're American sourced. And I say this because you're the one that's buying the equipment, you're the one that's doing all the research, and you don't know where your stuff is coming from to the T. You only think that the outcome of the product that you're buying it from an American-made company, but you don't think about the resources and materials that it costs to make those outcomes and where that material and resource come from. I mean, I'm not even the CEO, but if we take steel, for example, in 2024, the U.S. imported approximately 26.2 million metric tons of steel that's imported from different countries that manufacturers in the U.S. pay for. Okay, so why are we importing so much steel if we make steel in America? Pretty much because of this. You know, the price is fluctuating around $878 per ton as of June 2025. Now, China, who is our biggest supplier, we are paying around $400 to $465 per ton. And no, this ton is not the same as the American one. This is actually about 100 kilograms more than what the American ton is. And I guarantee that they're not paying for the American-made steel. They're paying for the Chinese-made steel. And if you think that if you were to put a tariff on the Chinese-made steel, that they're going to eat the cost, you're out of your mind. And as a company CEO, you know that you're not going to eat the cost. Just think about it. We would have to put 100% tariff on the Chinese-made steel just for you to buy American-made steel, and the price is still going to increase because the American-made steel is not going to decrease their price. Especially not decreasing it all the way down to $400. And that took me about 5 minutes of research. Seriously, no joke, about 5 minutes. And I'm not even a CEO, I don't get paid to do this, and that's what blows me the most, is if I can take 5 minutes out of my day to research something, and I'm not even the CEO, and you don't even know this? That's scary, man. That's scary. But y'all stay positive. Peace.
This Trump supporter is finding out the hard way. Josh Smith runs Montana Knife Co. He voted for Trump, probably thinking that America First would help small manufacturers like him, but instead, he just got hit with a $77,000 tariff, just for buying a machine from Germany that he literally can't get in the US. He really thought the guy who's bankrupted multiple casinos was going to help him and his small business? What a moron. Only 2 companies in the world make a blade grinding machine that he needs, and they're both in Germany. Thanks to Trump's EU tariffs, Josh has to pay an extra 15%. But wait, it gets better. He used to buy his steel from a US-based company in New York, but that company went bankrupt, and now his steel comes from Sweden. And you guessed it, Trump slapped a tariff on that one too, to the tune of 50%, starting next year. Dang, Josh, you just can't stop winning. And to be honest, I thought this whole thing was about buying American first. Why aren't you just manufacturing the machine you need, Josh? Sounds pretty easy based off how Trump puts it. If Trump loved small businesses so much, then why is he putting in so many policies that make it harder to stay afloat? Seems to me like voting for the guy who's never had a successful business in his life isn't going to care about saving or helping yours.
Alright guys, there you have it actually. You know, what is so funny about Josh Smith and, this whole Montana, knife company is exactly what a lot of creators were saying here. By the way, credit to all the creators in this video. They were pointing out that, the problem with this guy is that he doesn't know where his supply is coming from. He's ordering things of over $500,000 and you don't know where your supply is actually coming from. Now, another thing that he doesn't actually understand is that, American made doesn't mean American sourced, because you might actually manufacture in the United States, but you are sourcing a lot of your raw products from outside the States. And this is exactly what's happening to Montana Knife Company. This guy is actually sourcing a lot of his raw material, especially steel and machinery, from outside of the United States. And tariffs actually being imposed on steel, it's actually affecting him. It's affecting his business. It's affecting his earnings. It's affecting him actually after coming online and claiming that Amazon was slapping tariffs on their invoice, and Montana Knife Company is only gonna show 0 cost on tariff. Yeah, You effed around, man. You effed around big time. You gotta eat this one out. Then you eat the cost of tariffs if you can survive this one. Yeah, you show us how you deal with this, because a while ago you are laughing at Amazon. Now you're in the same spot. Well, eat the tariff cost now. Don't actually pass it down to the consumer, because that's what a lot of companies actually do. That's what Amazon was actually trying to do. As much as they're passing it to the consumer, they're putting it in the invoice. They're showing you how much tariffs are actually raising your prices. Well, you thought you were better because you are doing American manufacturing, bringing back jobs to the United States. How is that going? After voting for the orange man, not understanding how tariffs work, not understanding your own supply chain, that a lot of the raw materials that you are using to make your products, your knife products, are actually coming from outside. Your machinery is coming from outside. Your steel, the steel that you are actually using, is coming from outside. Well, there you go. How is it going now? After voting your own best interest, after voting against your own company, thinking that you are better off and smarter than other companies, smarter than Amazon, how is it going on now? You effed around, you found out. You didn't want to listen to people who are trying to warn you. You did this to yourself, and you are the cause of your company. If it does go down, you are actually the culprit. You are reaping exactly what you sowed. Yeah, and that's why Americans are telling you that we don't care. We try to warn you, but because of your racism, because of your hatred, because you wanted other people to be affected, you did not consider yourselves. You are happy Amazon being affected. You thought you were better off, making and manufacturing in the United States. Now you're being affected and you want to backtrack. Well, it doesn't happen like that. It's your FAFO moment. You have to actually find out, because you effed around, exactly what you are getting right now. And this is exactly the problem with a lot of MAGA company owners and CEOs and farm owners, MAGA business owners in general. We have seen a lot of them actually go bankrupt because they do not understand their supply chain. They do not understand how the tariffs actually work. They do not understand that it is American companies that are going to pay for the tariffs, not the country where you're buying your raw materials from. They don't understand how this works. They never did some research. They never did any research, and they're paying the price for not looking into this. Let me know, guys, what you think about today's episode in the comment section below. I'm your presenter, Joel Mogisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. Hit that like button. See you on the next episode.